Hello, good day and salutations. Welcome to the Perler Project. Today's not-so-mini project will be the creation of several playable characters from Realm of the Mad God. This has arguably been my favourite project to date, and the reason for that is because there's so much scope available to us from the game itself. Realm of the Mad God is developed by Wild Shadow Studios. I believe they've been recently bought out by Kabam, a social media games publisher, but despite the fact Realm of the Mad God is still very much a browser-based or downloadable standalone, flash-based, co-op MMO fantasy shooter with permadeath. It's quite a mouthful, but the game itself, thankfully, isn't that difficult to understand. The gameplay is quite simplistic, it's a bit of fun, mindless fun at that, but fun nonetheless. The general gameplay involves moving your character around the map with the W, A, S and D keys, and firing in all sorts of directions to try and clear a path for your character. Arguably, the game is not that complex and it's quite boring if you're playing alone, but throw a few friends onto a voice over IP server and you can have a lot of fun. Unlike other MMOs, tactics don't play a huge part in this game. Very often you see players zerging together and they just come together to try and defeat the bosses and then carry on moving in one general direction as a swarm. In the game this is called a train, and usually you see calls of "where's a train at?" which people respond to and you can teleport to. Interestingly, unlike other MMOs where players may, for the most part, quest alone and fight different enemies alone, in Realm of the Mad God, cooperation is a huge part of the game. Players themselves are actually very weak compared to many enemy types, and if you don't quest together and work together, you'll die very quickly. The addition of permadeath actually forces players to work together, so surprisingly, despite the fact that this is a simple, low-budget title, it actually ends up being one of the better MMOs that I've played in a very, very long time. But let's be honest, we're not here to talk about the gameplay, we're here to talk about the Perler patterns. And to be honest with you, this game lends itself perfectly to Perler beading. The reason for that is because Realm of the Mad God uses a very simplistic, pixel-based art style. As a result, the entire game is made up of sprites, and you can very easily take these sprites and convert them into Perler bead patterns using a 1 bead equals 1 pixel conversion rate. Pretty much any art asset from this game, whether it be a screenshot or a simple wiki entry, can be turned into a Perler pattern with a minimum amount of fuss. You don't need any special software, and I think because of the way the game is made up, just taking a simple screenshot can easily create a perfect diorama to put into a picture frame and hang on your wall. In this video I am showing you just 9 different playable characters, and this did take me about 45 minutes to create. The reason it took this long was actually due to the colour correction that needed to be done. When we're talking about virtual pixels, you have a huge amount of different colours available to you. However, when you transfer those colours into Perler beads, you don't have as great a scope. Therefore, you had to try and match the best colour for the job at hand. Now, I must be honest that I am somewhat of a perfectionist and I wanted to try and create my characters to look as good as possible. And this just meant testing different colours, seeing what worked best, removing the beads and trying again. Obviously, you've got the template in front of you now, so this shouldn't take you very long. In fact, looking at this template and working from this template, I can very much create a character in about 30 to 40 seconds. Obviously, if we were to look at some of the non-playable characters, some of the gods and some of the monsters within the game, they might take a bit longer to create individually. However, again, it shouldn't be too much trouble and it shouldn't be that difficult. There are a couple of things to keep in mind though when you are deciding to take on this little project. And that is the fact that the characters themselves are very small and therefore they are very fragile. Unlike other Perler designs, these ones are more subject to breakage, so you have to be very careful when handling them. However, having said that, I think that because they are quite small, even if they do break, not too much is lost and you can very easily recreate them or even try to repair them. The other thing to keep in mind is that while it is very easy to work with individual pixels and art assets from the game itself, putting them onto pegboards does require some improvisation. Diagonal pixels are very easy to do on computers, however on pegboards the beads have to be touching. If they're not touching when you come to ironing them, they will not stick and they will be loose and fall off. So you might have to improvise a tiny bit, and this will very much depend on what pattern you want to try and create. However, if you tried Perler beading before, you should be well aware of that and you shouldn't have too much trouble. In any case, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you for another Perler project soon.